If you haven't read the Hobbit books or looked it up on Wikipedia or done anything like that, then stop watching because I'm going to spoil the movie. I watched the final Hobbit installment and I absolutely hated it. I felt that the movie was a really long battle scene and I felt like they didn't really flesh out the relationships of the characters, and I feel like whoever thought it was a good idea to put the movie into three parts instead of two should be punched in the face. I mean, no matter how well it was paced during the first two movies, everything fell short in the third. The reason I feel that is because you see that they didn't really develop the relationships between the characters during the first two movies in a way that it means something in the third one. You see this a lot, especially between Bilbo and Thorin, as their relationship is really the focus of the whole journey from the Shire to the mountain. And the scene that stood out to me that made me really start thinking about this is the scene in which Thorin dies. Um, Up until that point, Thorin had been overcome with dragon sickness, where he becomes immensely greedy, and he thinks that everyone's out to betray him, and he doesn't want to keep to his word, which is everything that he was against from the beginning of the trilogy of movies, where he's like, everyone gets a share, we're going to do the right thing, and all these things. And Bilbo sees his descent into madness and tries very hard to stop it by trying to talk to him, gauge whether or not giving him the Arkenstone would make him a better leader, a better person, and see like how short-sighted and single-minded he was becoming. It didn't happen, but Bilbo puts himself in a lot of situations in which he's risking his own life and Thorin almost killing him, or at least insinuating that he's going to kill him several times. And it's in Thorin's dying scene that you realize that, or he realizes that Bilbo had been fighting for him the whole time. And even in his dying scene, Bilbo is still trying to get his friend to fight for himself as he's asking and pleading for him to, wait for the eagle so that he doesn't die. Of course, he dies, and it's really sad. But I feel like that the scene could have been sadder, but it wasn't because their relationship wasn't so fleshed out during the third movie where you see them trying to fight for it. And if you compare it to Lord of the Rings, Thorin is really like Frodo in this instance, where Frodo starts thinking the same things of Sam, and Sam kind of just takes it. And Bilbo is a lot more active of a companion than Sam is in this instance. But then again, Bilbo is the main character of this particular like bit, so you can see why he's a bit more active. And it's if you see it that way, you notice that loyalty and undying friendship is a very large theme in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, and that's something that you don't see a lot in Western cinema. And the reason I say that is because Western cinema felt that they had to introduce the character of Tauriel, who doesn't exist in the books, to be a love interest for Killy, a dwarf, and even their relationship felt really cheap because it was just like panning, or what is it, giving to the fact that people only see companionship as romantic instead of platonic, which can be equally as strong. I mean, when Tauriel is mourning Keely's dead body, she's crying and asking why does it hurt? And someone tells her it's because it was real. I mean, I think that's really hokey, and if that doesn't make you feel cheap, I don't know what will, because that was terrible writing on their part. But I don't know if you know, but J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, the writer of the Chronicles of Narnia, were great friends during like the 1920s or 30s, during the time of World War II, obviously in Britain and of course across the world. And that becomes really important because both of them were really great men of faith. One of them was Christian and one of them was a Catholic, and they really they felt very strongly about their faith. And because of the things that were going on in their society, they felt like they needed to rejuvenate people's faith in something. I don't really know about their relationship, but I'm sure that has to do with part of it. And they were really great friends, and they really challenged each other and enjoyed talking to each other about their faith. But they also fought very hard about how they wrote and how they would appeal to the audiences about what kinds of things they felt really strongly about, because they wanted to do it very differently. And if you think about the journey between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, you'll notice that the stories between The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, you'll notice that the journeys are more about having someone who is there for you and a companion who challenges you and motivates you and pushes you even when you don't want to be the best person that you can be. And I think that's really the takeaway from both of these movies that I feel like this particular The Hobbit fell short on doing, which Lord of the Rings does very well. And I think that that's really the takeaway, and I feel like, again, this is really my review of the movie, I feel like the movie didn't do that part of the story justice. It's really important. I mean, most people won't know the context of it, but knowing that and knowing what the books are, I feel I feel it was a terrible it wasn't a good experience. But go ahead and watch the movie. It's well done. I mean, of course, the New Zealand makes a very beautiful backdrop against this, but just think about it like it's about the journey and having someone who will fight with you the whole time. So I tried to type this like or tape this like 5 or 6 times, and I'm tired. So good night and enjoy.